This video is sponsored by Columbo.
You've killed Germans, you've killed Japanese. Which do you prefer?
Yes, my friends, much like cotton shins on an average Tuesday, I find myself quite stumped.
Is that a dig? 'Cause it ain't funny, Hank.
So, normally I am happy to do my self-appointed job and ponder the deep thoughts about King of the Hill's character motivations, consider possible narrative avenues that would make logical or enjoyable sense, and report my findings to you in the form of reviews or hot take video essays, my fellow scholars of media literacy. But today I wanted to do something a little different by calling our attention to 100 questions that I simply cannot get my head around. You've been assaulted by dolphins and by humans. Which do you prefer? These are the big questions that keep me up at night, because if I could somehow find some satisfactory answers to them, then I could present them to you and hopefully push our perceptions further than where they are right now. That's actually exactly what PhD programs are all about, not just understanding the world and looking at it and reporting back our findings, but advancing humanity's knowledge beyond what we already know, even if it's just by a smidge. So consider these sort of questions the kind that I would present to a graduate literature class, not because they're like solid definable easy answers to my queries, but because they call on us to find our own truths and hopefully, in the best case scenario, possibly add them to our general interpretation of King of the Hill's canon. I'm personally much more of a fan of the ancient Greeks' view of canon, where ideas with enough appeal or artistic merit became intertwined and inspired future works, and the author is merely the brilliant mind who can bring those ideas into the world, the conduit, if you will. The modern view of canon is much more about owning ideas, which is why we have to go running to the creators at fan conventions and ask permission to see an idea as truth, and I think that puts an unnecessary burden on both the author and the masses. Instead, let's just give our minds permission to wonder and wander, to see these questions not as like frustrating roadblocks to overcome, but as opportunities for imagination. And should your mind create a spark of divine thought, then I encourage you to throw it out into the world and see if that spark finds tinder. And of course, if you have any questions of your own that you've been struggling with, then let me know in the comments, and I might make a video answering them if I can, because I don't know, that sounds pretty fun. It could make for some good content right there, but it will require you to have the stones to put your thoughts before my judgmental eye. With that said, let's begin my channel's very first King of the Hill question session. Number 1, would Dale have been okay with Hank thunderclapping Nancy's cheeks when he was acting as Dale's legal representative? Dale seems to joke about it pretty easily, so I'm always left like wondering what he means by that.
So while you were me, did you sleep with Nancy?
No.
Too late.
There's also another episode where he teases Hank about swinging, so it's like maybe he's interested in seeing Hank do something with Nancy, but then again he also threatens to kill Hank just for having a sexy dream about his sweet Nan, so I don't know.
John Redcorn told me everything. He's a true friend, unlike you.
Although I'm just gonna come out and say this, I have been with girls shockingly similar to Nancy's body type, and let me tell you, Jack, they ain't worth killing over. But women like Leoma, on the other hand, whoo-hoo, now that's a different story. Number 2, how did Hank not notice that he got a tattoo on the back of his froggin' friggin' head? I mean, part of his hair was shaved and everything, and I can speak from personal experience that tattoos sting like a mother for days after. Did Hank just think that he had like a wicked bad hangover that lasted like a week? How did he not feel the bald spot against his pillow? That is so confusing. What's going on? Number 3, how long did Trip Larson have that guy, Javier, in captivity, and where did he come from? Was Javier also found at the Learning Annex like Luann, or did Trip see the potential in him as a boy and legally adopt him? I wouldn't put such a dark strategy past Mr. Pork Products. Trip is screwier than a self-sealing stem bolt, so who knows what he's been doing? Who even is Javier, and how well did he integrate back into society after living with Trip for God only knows how long? I really hope Javier is doing okay, because while yes, life is indeed a series of compromises, we all deserve to live as more than just a slave to a pigman, which is exactly what my ex said when they left. Number 4, would Hank have actually made the football shot in Louisiana? This is a classic what-if scenario, and a heartbreaking one at that. Would the hand of Mike Judge have descended from on high to hit the ball down just to maintain the Hill's middle-class status quo? I personally like to think that a bird or something would have come in to hit it, but but, no, that's getting awfully close to an answer, and I'm not supposed to do that. This is a questions-only video, so let's move on. Number 5, why did Cotton and Tilly stay together for so long? Hell, why did they even get married in the first place? When you have somebody as awful as Cotton, and someone who has been a nightmare since his youngest days, one has to wonder what kind of person would stay with him willingly. That's a hell of a thinker for me. Number 6, who was the Northside burglar? There is some sort of notorious criminal running around Arlen, the person that Bill was willing to take the fall for to stay in jail. But even though that episode gets all wrapped up in the Hank and Bill drama, the Northside burglar is never caught, making him a really interesting figure to think about. Number 7, is Boomhauer actually a Texas Ranger, or is that just a fake phony badge that he uses to meet chicks? The man never seems to do any actual police-like duties and engages openly in illegal activities, like pushing Hank to moon the governor, TPing Randy Travis's trailer, and participating in street races. So is the badge a sign of a retcon? Is it poor story planning? Or is it secretly a clever way of integrating his tendency to lie to women to get them to put their legs behind their ears and listen to some dido? Maybe this question is answered in the new season, which unfortunately I still haven't gotten to yet, so I don't know, maybe a bunch of these questions, maybe all of these questions are answered over there, but even if they are, there are enough strange inconsistencies with Boomhauer's personality and his personal actions that still leaves me feeling quite confused when I just take the original series into consideration. Number 8, what did Bobby's panda dream mean, and why was there a joke about dipping his mother-in-law in fondue? Is that just a precursor to him having puberty dreams about men being covered in scalding hot melted cheese? Cause if so, my man. Number 9, was Buckley's angel real? I'm taking all bets, people. Is he a figment of Luann's imagination, or is he a true angel descended from on high to bring life advice from an almighty source? If he's just imaginary, then Luann is able to trip balls with the best of them, and I would really look into what kind of hallucinogens Buckley's been slathering all over his number 1 trambopoline. But if he's real, then the irony of using a monomouth like Buckley, who usually just says, hey, as a messenger, is quite the divine comedy. Number 10, what was the alien urine that guy was selling? Assuming it's not actually alien urine, but hey, I guess you never know with this friggin' show. Ooh. I find it more interesting that Dale had a standing order for this stuff, meaning that he wanted to get his hands on it as soon as he could for some unknown purpose. And yes, I know it was going to evaporate or turn into pure Zephyrum or whatever, but what was Dale actually going to use it for? Fascinating to consider. Also, in that same episode when Peggy and Bobby are doing the whole cowbell thing, Kid Hauser over there high-fives the kid next to him because of a cowbell joke. What the fuck are you high-fiving about, boy? It ain't that funny. Number 11, what's up with the 2 roosters? We initially see Rooster as an older Godfather-like fellow in the gambling hall with Buck, you know, the guy who says, or take his shoes and check his pockets. But then later we see a younger, wiry spit of a guy in the trans-fat food truck episode who is also named Rooster. Are they a father-son pair? Are they cousins? Is it just that anybody with red hair and ties to the underground crowd gets the title? What's up with the Chicken Man?
What's he up to, man? What's he doing?
Number 12, how the fuck did Lupe make it across the American border? What kind of chingado system did they have back then, huh? I know that Peggy, yes, mistakenly brought back an extra kid, whatever, but nobody else on the bus seemed to say boo about it, and those border guards didn't do a head count or anything, so who's really to blame? As tempting as it would be to cast aspersions on Peggy for not knowing her students all that well, and how could you bring back an extra kid, and how could you be that stupid, and what them clown feet do, I do have to wonder what the border guards of the 90s were doing back then, back in the big easy version of America, the pre-9/11 timeline when the cops were living on casual baby mode. Number 13, would Peter Sterling, aka the dog poop guy, have been successful without being so handsome and charming? How much of success is being able to confidently market yourself, and how much of it is genuine talent or insightful ideas? Curious, very curious. Number 14, whatever happened to the doghouse that Hank built? That shit was still there at the end of the episode, with Peggy even using it as an office, so what gives? We all came to see an episode, the 100th episode by the way, about a doghouse, so where's it at? Did Dale blow it up like he did Hank's sissy shed? Number 15, why did Luann invite all of those awful, terrible people to her wedding? Sharona Johnson I could maybe understand, but why the hell is Miss Kremser there? Why the fuck is Twig Boy and Lewd Patch Boomhauer allowed on the property? You remember how he hit on her, right? Like Patch Boomhauer made like creepy advances on Luann, so like how strangely forgiving is she to invite him to her wedding? What what the fuck is going on? Sheesh. Number 16. Would Bobby have survived walking across the racetrack? When Jimmy Witchard calls him over, Bobby seems pretty confident that he wouldn't get spaghettified by Jeff Gordon, which does make me wonder if the boy could have pulled it off. And if he had, would Jimmy have then made him go back the same way? Number 17. How did those punk kids in the Megalomart move all those vending machines so fast and without the guys hearing any of it? Did they use a forklift or some sort of shopping cart machine or a magic carpet or what? Just doing a little quick Google search, it turns out that vending machines can weigh anywhere between 400 and 900 pounds when empty, let alone if they have like a whole bunch of change in them, so... I understand that the vending machines just appearing out of nowhere is meant to invoke a surreal, supernatural feeling, but once you know the truth of what's going on and who exactly is tormenting the guys, the machines blocking the entrance really can't be explained away that easily. Unless I'm just missing something and somebody who works at like Walmart or Costco or whatever can boastfully tell me how two kids can move about 15 vending machines in 20 minutes without it echoing throughout a giant empty store at night, I defy you to tell me how they did it. Number 18. Why does Cotton have two graves, the memorial one and the dumb toilet one? Maybe you could say that the war hero one is purely performative and symbolic, but why turn down a literal war hero's grave for a toilet? Why do they even have this stupid toilet tradition? It is so ridiculous and just galling. This is one of the most frustrating mysteries of the whole series for me personally, and a writing decision that I vehemently hate, both for how illogical it is and for how it robs us of a sweet shared moment of Peggy and Cotton dancing on his grave. If you can somehow make those two pieces, those two burial plots, fit together in a satisfying narrative way, then you have my respect. Number 19. Can American tourists own land in Mexico? Cause if so, I've got a president who'd love to put a gaudy, ugly hotel with his name all over it in Michoacan. Number 20. What are the Marfa lights? Unless someone wants to cop to farting in Marfa, we got a real Scooby-Doo mystery on our hands, gang. Could it be that there is a crooked land developer trying to scare people away? Perhaps an unscrupulous tourist manager is trying to keep the legend of the lights alive? Or is it really aliens, as the true believers insist? Who can say? Not I. All I know is that the lights will continue to shine for years on end and the cosmic ballet goes on. Number 21. Will Peggy's feet one day hit the big 2-0? Have they already done so in the reboot? Is that why we're calling it a reboot, to make a foot joke? Bravo, Mike, bravo. Number 22. What the fuck am I doing with my life? Okay, take a deep breath. Breathe out. 22. What happened to Gary Kasner and where did he go after his breakup with Tilly? How is his big heart mending? Did he find somebody better at the tender age of 89? Does he believe that true love can bloom even on the battlefield? Number 23. Did Ms. Wakefield watch her sister die? I mean, she describes the death in such haunting detail that it sounds suspicious to my succulent ears.
Somehow she managed to crawl down the hallway to about right over there.
Did she stand over her stroked-out sibling Madarame style and watch the life drain from her contorted frame, and that's why she wants to die in the Hill House so badly? Is she perhaps trying to feel a sense of atonement for what she did, or does she want to feel a sense of completion, a sense of symmetry to her life, to her death even? It's like poetry, it rhymes. Number 24. Why didn't Hank and Peggy have more kids if Ladybird relaxed Hank's wiener? Is it just that it's only puppies that gets his great gray river moving along? Or could it be that there is also a problem going on with Peggy? Could the stress of owning a dog and Ladybird's growing closeness with Hank have pinched Peggy's fallopian tube shut? Maybe it's Ladybird's dander that clamped Peggy's Panama Canal down to nothing. Number 25. Was Bobby actually Lama Songlug? That Buddhist liar sure seemed to pull some suspicious shenanigans with that there mayor, I tell you what. Number 26. Was that really Hitler's canoe? Do Germans even use canoes? What is the German word for canoe, if there is one? I just looked it up. Apparently the German word for canoe is Kanu. How fun! Still gonna have to paint over the swastika on the other side though. That shit scares the fish. Number 27. Would Bill have won the hot dog eating contest if he wasn't so ashamed of his hideous eating habits that earned him many sexual favors from Pamela Anderson? Would Would he have pulled through if she had been voiced by Dolly Parton instead? That angel, that goddess walking among men. And in a similar vein, is the belt of fat theory true, and did that guy really have 2 stomachs? Number 28, why the fuck did Bill cheat on Governor Richards? How stupid is he? Look, I understand ruining relationships because you're a self-destructive moron. I've done it plenty of times, but I have never, ever thrown away one relationship to be with an ex. Ugh, that's not just being stupid, that's some straight up plot manipulation of Bill right there. Number 29, was Monsignor Martinez hitting on Peggy? I personally would say yes, but so many people over the years have told me that I'm insane and stinky and whatever a bus and bussy means, so I'm starting to doubt my own crackpot theories over here, which is not a good thing for any good conspiracy theorist to ever do when exposed to other avenues of thought or evidence. Some people believe that cheating happens because you want to be with somebody who is more attractive than your current partner, whereas myself, the relationship pill dingus that I am, believe that cheating itself is the actual big thrill for people who are sick of their partner, and that it has virtually nothing to do with the other person's physical attractiveness. So when people come up to me on the street and say, oh, the Monsignor is hot, and oh, his wife is double plus hot, so there's no way he would ever look at a shaved hobbit like Peggy, I just can't find it in my heart to believe that theory, because hot people fuck ugly people all the time, and I'm living proof, baby! Thus, our debate and this question rages on. Number 30, was Trip Larson actually cured by getting his brain zapped, or was that just a brief moment of clarity? Could the shock really have swept away his manic schizophrenia forever, or was that just a drowned man resurfacing from his sea of madness for one precious gasp of air? I'm not sure which possibility is more grim to consider. Number 31, how long could Hank have maintained his truck if it hadn't been hit by that train? He really seemed intent on fixing it to death, to the point where he could have probably replaced every part of the motor, Ship of Theseus style. But if so, would it even have been the same truck? Who can say? Number 32, what was Khan's dad like? In the episode 9 Pretty Darn Angry Men, he does mention that he has father issues, and we do get to see his very submissive mom, yeah, but nothing about his dad. We know that he's currently living as the breeze going through that haunted meadow, but what was the man like before that change in careers? And no, I'm not going to ask anything about Min's mother, because Min never brings up anything about her mom even once, but Khan gives us that very tantalizing single hint about his dad, and I really would have loved to have learned more about Khan's dad and how he influenced Khan's life. Number 33, what does the MF in MF Thatherton mean?
The MF stands for
My friend.
No, that's not a good question. What am I doing? Let me come up with another one. Notes. Is it so wrong to be beautiful? No, that's also terrible. Of course it is. Every beautiful woman on the internet gets screamed at, so of course it's wrong to be beautiful. Okay, here's a good one. Number 33, why did Dale sign up for the scam of, and I'm going to direct quote here, so don't yell at me, a
Gypsy modeling school.
Unquote. Does he really think that he's hot enough to be in a modeling school, or perhaps was he trying to get some pictures for Nancy as a gift to replace that big picture of John Redcorn that she has? What's going on with you, Dale? Is it vanity, an act of marriage compassion, or what? And how much of Nancy's money did you lose on that thing, eh? One shudders to consider. Number 34. Why did Boomhauer and his old girlfriend Catherine break up? You know, the one that was gonna marry Patch? I don't know, they still seem to be pretty tight, her and Boomhauer, and she's definitely not bitter about the breakup, so what's the deal? I don't think she would be so calm if he had cheated on her, and she seems super happy to see him at the gas station, so what's going on? And it can't just be that one of them moved away and they grew apart, because they easily could have reconnected as adults or stayed in contact through letters or phone calls or whatever, and if they really didn't care about each other, then why would they be so all over each other, and Boomhauer seems to really be hoping that they're gonna reconnect, so I don't really understand what their dynamic even is. I just can't understand why they seem so friendly and happy, especially when Boomhauer's attitude with the ladies tends to be more of a hump 'em and dump 'em style. It's really strange to think about the more you dig into it. Number 35, will Junie Harper actually go to heaven and have more room for herself? Or if you want to put it a different way, will she walk with the prophets in the celestial temple or burn with the paw wraiths in the fire caves? I know which possibility I got my money riding on, but you never know, I guess, so we'll see. Number 36, is the Jane cult still in operation? At the end of the episode, Fun with Jane and Jane, the guys didn't really put a close to the cult's intentions, they just sort of siphoned off a few gals from the enrollment. I am certain that recruitment is still happening, but if it is going on, then how big is this cult? Are they present at other schools? What do their enslavement camps look like? And why is the Jane cult the darkest thing in the whole show that nobody talks about, myself included? We just sort of accept it as a thing that happens, I guess Texas has a lot of cults, whatever. It's got jams and jellies and girl enslavements and reducing breasts. I can't believe how evil this cult is. Number 37, how did that mega church guy survive being tased in the shower by his wife? Look, I ain't no electrician or executioner, but surely getting tased in the shower, especially after your heart has been damaged by all that easy access to cocaine, would cause your cork to pop, no? Maybe I'm just being ignorant of the topic, but if so, I am a proud ignorant YouTuber, which is the best kind, the only kind, of course!
Of course!
Number 38. Is Peggy Hill actually a genius? All joking aside, I would not have been able to come up with a multi-layered scheme as she does. That shit was practically out of Better Call Saul, you know? Bravo, Vince. Number 39. Did Ms. Wakefield end up dying in the Hill House, or is she still somehow alive in the reboot, or series continuation, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, you thesaurus clutching charcoal hole? Should I have just bitten the bullet and stepped out of my 30 years comfort zone for the sake of this video and actually watched the reboot? Yes, I'm sorry, shut up. Number 40. Why does Cotton hate Hank so much? He even hates baby Hank, so it's not really anything that Hanky did. This question is really only important if you're the kind of stickler who can't understand that some hostile relationships are funnier in comedy shows if there's a degree of illogical silliness to them. Drama shows do have to have a reason for inter-character hostilities, but comedy shows don't have to. But that sounds like a filthy answer to me, so forget it. Why does Cotton hate his great son? Is he just stupid or what? Number 41, Joseph, how was the weather up there, my boy? If you don't know, then you might want to go ask your mother, because she might be able to answer that question. You get it? Because she's a weather lady and she knows what weather is, and my question was about weather. Number 42, was the dam really about to break? Did Hank make the right choice to, in legal terms, murderize all those businesses? What would you have done, Thomas? Number 43, did Debbie plan out Buck's murder in advance, or was it truly a spur-of-the-moment thing? Those flowers on her desk give me pause, because did she buy them for herself, or did she use them as cover as like a grieving tank wipe? Number 44, why does Miss Liz stick with Buck for so long? And if she knows that he's a scumbag that cheats on her, then why is she still shocked that he's still doing it? Shouldn't she have just like accepted it by now, like that's just who he is, or have divorced him years ago? Maybe I'm just not in the right mindset to answer this question. I have never loved anybody enough to forgive them for cheating on me on stolen antique furniture, so perhaps my bafflement simply reveals a flaw in my own heart. Number 45, what is body horror?
Wait, what's body horror?
Why are we even friends?
Number 46, why does King of the Hill never address 9/11? Did 9/11 even happen for them? I've seen some people argue that the Megalomart explosion is King of the Hill's answer to 9/11, but the season 2 finale came out years before New York's 9/11, so that doesn't really pan out, unless of course King of the Hill predicted that a building would explode, which of course, as we all know,
Buildings explode. That's what they do.
By the way, did you know that the first episode that aired after 9/11 was Bobby Goes Nuts? So perhaps his foot represents the plane and Hank's twin testicles represented. Number 47, was Hank actually a victim of the Beast, and how did that porn charge to his account even happen? This question will depend on just how much you trust the government and the computer systems that regulate our lives, and whether you think that a conspiracy theory could possibly be true. Maybe it was just a true, honest, aw shucks mistake, I don't know. Number 48, was Gail really in a chat room with Gene Roddenberry's wife, and if so, why wasn't she called to a test on Gail's whereabouts? Could it be, perish the thought, that maybe wasn't her? Come on now, do you really think that someone would do that, go on the internet and lie? Don't be so cynical, you bastards! Number 49, did Hank actually hallucinate the entire Debbie Grun murder mystery because of the marijuana poisoning? I've heard some people say that this is a possibility, and if you're the kind of person who believes in the deleted ending from Lucky's Wedding Suit where they say that some episodes were just Bill's bad dreams, then this question is very valid. How can we say that anything in this fictional series actually happened? Save me, Rene Descartes, from this philosophical K-hole! I think, therefore, propane. Number 50, did Tom Landry's true undead spirit appear to Hank in the form of an animatronic gopher? What a question, Mark. Anyway, how's your sex life? Hey, look, listen, if we seriously have to consider whether Buckley's angel is real, then is it such a stretch to think that Tom Landry, or Lincoln for that matter, would appear in a dream and give Hank profound life advice? Once you start accepting the possibility that certain wild theories might be true, then you just have to keep pushing on to see where the line exists, if it does at all. Number 51, why was Marie dancing with all those guys? Is she a hooah? Number 52, what did Dale see in Buckley's coffin? What sort of charred meat did they pull off the chain link fences and the burnt roof of the Megalomart just to stuff in there? And in the same vein, no pun intended, what did the industrial penis sculpture look like? I'm thinking that it must have resembled the Alolan version of Wheezing, you know? What did the Pokemon Company mean by that? Number 53. Was Bobby actually geeking under the Ant Queen's spell, or was he just playing a weird kids game and made himself into an innocent goon? Even though I do have my own personal beliefs about this question, I have seen some so-called quote-unquote people, who mysteriously also have fire ants all over their house, make the argument that Bobby was just goofing. And you know what? That's fair enough. I think we all do silly things from time to time that we otherwise wouldn't do unless we were in private company, so yes, it is entirely possible that Bobby just dribbled sugary saliva all over a fire ant queen's pulsating body just for a giggle. Was it mind control or just kidding around? I don't know. Who won? Who's next? You decide! Number 54. How was Bobby able to endure all of Cotton's crazy tests at Fort Burke when he is a super doughy and weak little boy in other episodes? Somehow, by some crazy miracle, Bobby actually manages to outperform Captain Cisco when it comes to being trapped in a hot metal box all day, and I think that's the most ridiculous thing we've ever seen Bobby do on this whole show, and that's saying a lot. Yet at the same time, this is still the same kid who got tired on the drive over to pickup truck heaven. I'm sure other geniuses out there can fit this circle in the square hole, but I just can't figure it. Number 55. Did Andy Maynard survive the Donut Massacre, and did he get the sweater I knitted for him? That poor little butterball took more yeast to the face than Mario fighting that one cake boss in Mario RPG, so I doubt that Andy's still alive, but part of me hopes against hopes that he's alright, because the world needs more plus-size male models. We can't let the ladies control the entire big tit market, can we, fellas? Mark my words, ladies, the moob shall inherit the earth. Number 56. Did Coach Sowers, who by the way never had the makings of a varsity athlete, go to jail or the morgue after the last time we saw him? What even happened there? I'll bet you anything that his delicate little old man skull was softened by doing the wall test, and it couldn't stand getting bonked like that. So is Hank a murderer, a killer, a propane punisher? What? Number 57. What would the show have been like if the Cleveland show didn't exist and King of the Hill was allowed to keep dragging its bleeding carcass across network TV as it spiraled into even more shitty episodes after season 13? What sort of god-awful stories would we have gotten? Bobby starts a doll collection, Bill gets a small business loan, Peggy becomes a robot? What? Hot take here, but maybe the Cleveland show did us all a big favor and put a bullet in a dying animal and left the show where it needed to be, where the majority of the seasons are looked upon favorably by the fandom so that it could even get a revival all these years later, instead of doing what it was going to do, which was continuing to crap out disappointing episodes and seasons until it fizzled out and it soured us all on the show the way that so many people have soured on The Simpsons and Modern Family Guy. In case you can't tell, I really don't like season 13 of King of the Hill. Ugh. Number 58. Did Bobby ever hear from his Japanese DDR Dansu girl ever again? Number 59. How did Cotton not die in Japan if he's deathly allergic to shellfish? I'm not saying that it's impossible to live a shellfish-free life. Ooh, that's a tongue twister right there. Try saying that 10 times. Shellfish-free life, shellfish-free life. Ugh. But it does seem like it would really restrict his diet while he was recovering from getting his shins blown off. Actually, that's an even better question. How the hecky did he survive getting his shin slimed on that island? And hey, you know what, while we're here, number 60, how did Cotton even get his shins turned into my underwear, ratty and full of holes? How did that whole thing even happen? The thing is, Cotton has shown to be a little bit of an unreliable narrator when it comes to telling us what happened during the war, and if Cotton's original story is to be believed, then he got hit by a machine gun nest and then managed to beat the entire squad to death before collapsing. My big question is just who found him? Who thought to care for him? Who pulled him up and said, oh my god, this guy's still alive, quick, get his feet to his knees? You know, that's so wild in the middle of war. I'm shocked that Cotton even managed to survive that. And if his story about the machine gun nest isn't true, then what actually did happen to him? How did his shins get blown off? Only the fanfiction girlies hold the truth. Number 61, the third Cotton question in a row, don't you know? But how was Cotton able to stop his own heart at will? Is he a super mutant? How was he able to keep reviving himself? Even his doctor doesn't know the answer to this.
So he's gonna make it?
Absolutely not. Technically, I don't know how he was revived or how on earth he's talking to us now.
Number 62. Why were there all those snakes in the sewers? What up with that? Is it desert stuff? Wetland snakes just going into the sewers? What's going on? It was a full-on snake pit in that poo-poo hellhole, or money hole as some would call it, so where did they come from? I gotta know, because girls like swarms of snakes, right? Number 63. Did Bobby actually revive that whooping crane, or was it just knocked out? I mean, they kept the damn thing in an airtight cooler all night. It probably ran out of air and suffocated, but then, oh my goodness, here comes Bobby with his wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey llama sunglug powers, and he brought it back. Okay. And hey, why didn't he use these revival powers on Buckley, huh? A little late for him, I guess. Number 64. How many kids does John Redcorn have, or Cotton for that matter? Those two have seen more labias than obsessive obsessive-compulsive self-appointed gender inspector trying to keep constipated trans people from shitting in a toilet, so one wonders how many pregnancies they've caused. Cotton almost certainly has more kids, but he just has the advantage of age. We know that John Redcorn isn't a monogamist when it comes to his affairs, so there's probably a considerable horde of spawn and paternity suits waiting for him out there. Hope you like splitting up those 12 acres you got between 30 would-be heirs, my man. Although, we don't know if Cotton cheated on Tilly when they were married, so maybe he has even more kids than I think, so who can say?
Number 65. How many pickles are in a barrel of pickles? That lady at the trailer park was using a barrel of pickles as a metaphor for how many dicks she's seen or sucked or whatever, so how many are we talking about? Is it 100? 200? 300? How many men have savagely fucked that old... God damn it. How many men have savagely fucked that old lady? Have you done her? Have I done her? Who hasn't done her? Did she man the glory hole in the trailer park's outhouse or something? How much pickle juice has she had squirt into her mouth?
Number 66. Why did Dale stop thinking John Redcorn was gay? In one of the way later episodes, Dale seems to think that John Redcorn is just like a lady killer, meaning that the gay joke was either retconned or forgotten about entirely. Either that or Dale just thinks that John Redcorn is a so-called bisexual. Number 67. Did the guy that Bill adopted, do you remember him, Qualle, the little fellow that abused Bill's Santa Claus trust, did he die in Afghanistan? What happened to Qualle? I want Qualle. He runs fast to sell kids beer. He's a saint. Number 68. Did Leon ever get clean, or did he just overdose and die, and that's why we never get to see him again? We didn't see the man show up at Luann's wedding as Twig Boys +1, so that probably means he's doing heroin with worms now. And if he did croak, then what a shame that is. If you check the comments on my video that I did of his episode, you know, the review I did, you'll see that I was one of the only people, perhaps the only person in the whole world who thought he was genuinely attempting to recover, and if there's one thing worse than dying to an overdose, it's having to live and hear smug people say, haha, I told you so. Number 69. Why is Peggy's mom such a bitch to her? Jesus Christ, the woman is brutal. She didn't start off being this terrible. The whole thing just sort of blindsides us and leaves us wondering what's going on. And it's really weird because unlike Cotton, Peggy's mom morphed into this moon-scorched form from a relatively benign incarnation. And hey, you know what? I never thought about this until I sat down to write this script, but why didn't Luann come along on this trip to Montana? She is just as much of a grandkid to Peggy's mom as Bobby is. She is Hoyt's kid after all. It's a really strange absence, no doubt, but it was probably just caused by Brittany Murphy being a rising star, and that kept her schedule pretty busy. Number 70. What did Bill's mangled leg look like? I want to know. If it's anything like his super disgusting toenails, then his leg would probably make us puke if we saw it. Those animators go hard when it comes to rendering painful sights for us. Are we talking like straight bone coming out of the skin, or does the whole thing just look more like dog meat? Number 71. Did Tammy ever get her GED? I really do hope so, because she seemed like a genuinely good person who wanted to make Peggy proud and take this important step forward in her life. The educator in me desperately wants to see Tammy succeed, but the heartless scumbag that wants into her needs Tammy to stay in her stable of Uma Musume hoe bags. So I'm conflicted. Number 72. Would Hank have won the shooting competition if Cotton hadn't shown his ugly mug? The whole point of that episode is to show how freaked out Hank gets when he thinks about disappointing his dad, so did he just not overcome that fear in the end, or was it an honest miss? This is a real butterfly effect kind of question, the sort that Dandy Don Meredith warned us about chasing. Because once you start losing yourself in all of the ifs, could'ves, and should'ves, then you are really in the shit, my friend. Number 73. Why does Hank let Dale cheerfully look forward to laughing at Peggy's bad birthdays? Shouldn't Hank have kicked his scrawny ass by now? It's bad enough that Dale points and laughs at her misfortune, but he also actively causes the chaos by shouting out the murder mystery answer on the train.
Oh, no, Luann, no.
Roy Cohn did it! Mystery blown!
Yeah, no, that's being more than just a gleeful observer. He is looking for any chance to screw with her birthday, actively doing so. So why has Hank not, like, put his foot down about this years ago, huh?
This is Peggy's worst birthday ever. I should feel on top of the world, yet I'm not.
I hate to say this twice in one meal, but horse's ass.
And similarly, number 74, why does Hank let Bill pine so openly after Peggy?
I once made a vest out of your wife's underpants.
What did he say?
It's all super cringe, and it's likely because Hank just doesn't think Bill has a chance, and so he just lets him do it out of pity, but maybe Hank likes feeling like a big man over Bill. I don't know, it's a weird dynamic for sure. Number 75, could Hank beat John Redcorn in a fight? This is one of the oldest debates of mankind. It's muscles versus fighting experience. Just because you're ripped, because you're shredded, doesn't mean that a hard elbow to the jaw won't drop you like a sack full of emu beaks. Plus, we all know that John Redcorn sucks at kickball, although he is good at baseball, so I don't know. This is a question where I imagine most people would say that Hank would win, but is that just because of a main character buff in popular opinion, where people are more inclined to favor the MC over the scrappy secondary character? I don't know. Number 76, would Buck really have killed Hank if Hank had made disgusting, hot, miserable, delicious soup with Ms. Liz? I mean, Mr. Strickland broke into Hank's house holding his sinister scattergun, for God's sakes. So if Hank hadn't been a soup Nazi to Ms. Liz, does that mean that Bobby and Peggy would have come home and found Hank's bloodied corpse all over the ground? Probably. Number 77, when did Buck and Cotton ever hang out, and what the hell did that look like, and what sort of incident caused them to part ways?
Yeah, I used to chase skirt with your granddaddy. He's a mean kind of funny.
Number 78, why were Boomhauer and John Redcorn shopping together? Are they gay? Because there's nothing gayer than buying things together. I mean, come on, spending money next to another man? Bleh, companionship? Who needs it? Number 79, why does the King of the Hill fandom have such a raging hate boner for the Ms. Wakefield episode? I understand that yes, the neighbors were being unsympathetic pricks, but that's like one scene, and that same unpleasantness can be found in a ton of late season episodes. The Ace is an especially bad case, as the man is a braying jackass and forces Hank to speak in baby talk and then still tells him to fuck off even after he does it, and yet I never hear anybody say boo about that. And I could go on. Gilbert screams at Bill, Ted Wasana-san calls Khan a banana, Hank is tormented by Dusty Hill's camera crew, Boomhauer is pitted against the entire neighborhood when he takes the fall for Patch's vile conduct, and Bill turns everybody against Hank for being the Arlen Flutter. So if the neighbors' unfair attitudes is the big death blow for Ms. Wakefield, then there's like 10 other episodes that everybody should despise for displaying the same shit. Or do people hate Ms. Wakefield because she's being a little selfish for wanting to die in Hank's house? A little entitled, dare we say? Well, fuck me. That almost sounds like a conflict in our story? Something unreasonable and strange that can't just be solved with a quick compromise? Perish the goddamn thought. I mean, it's not like Ms. Wakefield is being outright cruel to the Hill. She's not a raging asshole like Gilbert or the Ace. She's just this weird, persistent force that keeps coming back, which I do think is a unique challenge for our characters. I don't know, man. I can understand not liking the episode, but I think that the Ms. Wakefield hate is far too forced and borderline hysterical, with people calling it like the worst episode of the whole series. Are you kidding me? There's like 20 more that are way, way worse, and the complaints don't really make a lot of sense when you try to look at them through a wider scope. Number 80, how did Bill never meet Leanne? He's obviously not new to the guy's group or anything like that, and Leanne and Hoyt were together for 18 years, living within driving distance. The whole backstabbing fork thing happened right at the first episode, so Bill literally had 2 decades to meet Leanne, either at holidays or birthdays or Thanksgiving or whatever, and he seemingly never had. And how could he not know anything about her when Dale and Boomhauer so clearly do? That makes no sense to me. So instead of doing what I have made my job and actually trying to explain this little inconsistency, I'm instead going to point it out and whine. Me! Number 81. Does Hank still wear his fake butt? That medical device sure saved him a lot of pain, and he said he was getting a new one from the medical supply store, so does he? Is he still wearing like a flare gun, or do I need to throw a brick through his window? Number 82. How did those nerds manage to make an entire GTA ripoff game in just a few days? I mean, let's really think about this for a second. They got voice acting, unique graphics with Hank's big old fat head, all kinds of cool weapons, and online multiplayer capabilities with a leaderboard all done up in like a week. How are these guys not multi-trillionaires yet? They would have had GTA 6 out by like 2009. Number 83, does Peggy still host the gun/book club with all those guys, or did they all kill each other? Number 84, how did Hank not know where he was born? Has he never needed his birth certificate for anything before that one episode? The man's like 42, come on. This one is especially strange when you consider consider how paperwork inclined Hank is. Like, he actually likes doing that sort of thing and really keeps all of it straight in his head. He is not the sort of person to just take something at face value like that. He would have looked at his birth certificate before, or at least been so disturbed that he couldn't find it, so what's going on? So should we call this plot convenience, brain damage from smelling all that propane, or is it all just Bill's weird dream? Number 85, would Peggy and her massive dumpy have actually won the beauty pageant had she competed? We do have to consider that this was back in the early 2000s, where even fat-ass white girls were viciously mocked for their big old butts, so that thing might have actually been a nerf rather than a modern-day buff. Nobody used terms like thick or MILF back then. We were clueless. Plus, this was the Mrs. Heimlich County beauty pageant. It wasn't a drop-it-to-the-floor jelly-shaking exercise. It's about family. Number 86, would Boomhauser have won the drag race if Bill hadn't snuck into the car and weighed him down? I mean, Bill is comically fat, and those sort of people often ruin opportunities for their thin friends. Remember, folks, if you've got a belt of fat, then you're dragging the whole human race down. Yay, I'm doing something! Number 87, how much of Trip Larson's life did he remember after he was shocked? Is he a new man? Is that Trip or somebody else? Is it just a blank slate? Who is that man? I mean, he does clearly know how to talk and what a pig costume is, but does he remember who he is or how he acted? How much of his life was defined by his mania? How much chocolate is at the center of his Tootsie Roll? The world may never know. Number 88, did Peggy's remote actually have batteries in it, or did God give her the power to enact her will on the world? Number 89, what was the thing that Cotton and Topsy did the hell out of? Number 90, why the fudge or how the heck did that giant beer can drop from the helicopter at Port Aransas? Was it just like a drunken accident, or did that dickhead armadillo do it on purpose? I get why they did it. It's like a weird obstacle to throw at them at the big rush to the dock, but like contextually, it's very strange that that would happen. Number 91, what would have happened if Cotton had spat in the Japanese emperor's face? How would the relationship between the United States and Japan have been affected, if at all? I mean, this last year has really shown us how much damage one deranged old man can cause to the United States' reputation around the world, so the spitting thing may have been a real catastrophe. Number 92, what brand of adult diapers is the most absorbent?
Get out!
Number 93, how the heck did King of the Hill get Randy Travis to agree to be such a douchebag version of himself in that one episode where he steals Peggy's backstory and lies about Hank saving his life like a coward? That's crazy to me. Number 94, does Bobby actually know about the Nancy John Redcorn affair?
It looks just like the one on my dad's truck. You mean Dale Gribble's truck?
Number 95, was Mr. Popper's slut of a nurse actually after his cufflinks, or was he just crazy? Number 96, what in the hell did that lady do at the dog dancing competition to beat Bobby's crazy-ass godlike performance? The kid literally danced his heart and soul out, with even the judges calling it the perfect blend between child and dog, no not you, so if that only got him second place, then what the fuck did the first spot lady do? At the risk of giving an answer, that has to have been a bribe, no doubt. Number 97, what did Bill's dream in the sweat lodge mean? Pie's good? Number 98, why the hell does Dale suddenly give a shit about, baskets? Were the writers really that desperate to do something, anything new with Dale's character by season 12 that they just pulled a random word out of the dictionary for him to be obsessed with? Because if so, that is very sad. I just don't understand why they didn't make the whole episode about him leading his own vacation. That was a great idea. That would have been significantly more interesting and could have gone a whole bunch of different and exciting ways rather than just the stupid basket shit. I mean, let's really think about this for a second. Dale and his students could have gone on an extermination vacation to like a seedy motel, or the high school, or the bystander, or Strickland Propane, or just anywhere. Actually, here's a thought. Maybe you could even have it where his students are much better than he expected, and now he's afraid of sending all these new kick-ass exterminators into town and taking his job, so he sabotages them in some silly way. We could call the episode Extermination Termination and just go nuts with Dale, really let him run wild. I would have loved that. Now that I talk about it, that would have been a great episode. I much prefer that hypothetical alternative than the stupid fucking basket shit that we got, which just makes me angry and makes me shake my fist and grrr. Number 99, what's the Yanni, and why did Fudgy invite Hank to hold it? And finally, the big one, number 100, what would Dale have done if he had ever learned about Nancy and John Redcorn's affair? I think this is King of the Hill's ultimate question, and if it were ever answered, then the whole series would have imploded. noted. That question is too awful to imagine, and so it brings this whole video to an end. And there you go, 100 or so questions that I just can't answer, wink wink. I hope you had fun too, because I really enjoyed coming up with 100 quick topics to talk about. I might have to do more of this sort of thing if people respond well to it. I could totally see making a video about 100 times that BoJack Horseman made a horse out of himself, or 100 times that The Simpsons should have been cancelled, or 100 numbers starting with 100, yeah! Until then, we can say that these purely rhetorical million-dollar questions have indeed been reviewed to death. A big thank you goes out to Dominic and Undermine Shrimp on Patreon, and of course all of my YouTube members, and if you want your name specifically shouted out, then go to the Patreon and look at that tier, and there you go, buddy. It is because of your support, both emotional and financial, that keeps me and this channel going. Me need money now, Mr. Burns. Me sick.
It's Kern, stupid!
No, it's not.
Disregard.